Raymond Burr is synonymous with Perry Mason, yet the Canadian-born actor was far more than television's greatest defence lawyer. Of course, he played the titular wheelchair-bound police consultant on Ironside too. Early in his film career, he was a natural in film noirs. Burr's fascinating life was filled with fabrication and speculation, as he and his publicists obscured his private life. Why Raymond Burr had to fabricate a fake life to be accepted. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Raymond Burr, Hollywood star whose whole life was an act. Raymond Burr's secret life. Hollywood in the middle of the 20th century was not the most accepting of places. TV and movie studios, often in collusion with gossip columnists, worked quite diligently to paint a rosy, familial picture of the industry's stars both on and off screen. Such was the case with Raymond Burr, who portrayed America's favourite attorney, Perry Mason, as well as Chief Ironside and several film villains. Many actors invest enormous amounts of energy to remain closeted, but few deceptions were as convoluted as that of Canadian-born Raymond Burr, known for decades as TV's Perry Mason. He believed he could conceal his homosexuality by creating an imaginary life to hide his 35-year relationship with Robert Benavides. Burr told everyone he was married 3 times and had a son who died of leukemia at the age of 10. However, a few years after his death, Burr's sister admitted that her brother was married only once. The marriage was annulled after a few months and never had a son. Burr was leading a secret life at a time in Hollywood when acknowledging his sexuality was career suicide, so he fabricated a tragic biography for himself in which he was mythologized as a heartbroken husband and father. There was even an invented affair with a teenage Natalie Wood, 21 years his junior. At the height of his popularity in television and film, he frequently gave speeches to the American Bar Association by virtue of his famous portrayal of lawyer Perry Mason. Burr was driven to embellish his elaborate facade when he found out in 1961 that a member of the American Bar Association had given the FBI documents indicating that Burr was a noted sex deviant. Burr's response was a classic case of panic. Burr's television persona, Perry Mason, was a defense attorney who was the main character in works of detective fiction by celebrated author Earl Stanley Gardner. Burr played this role for an astonishing 5 decades. He won fame, fortune and numerous awards for portraying Mason for 9 years on TV, followed by 26 made-for-TV movies. When TV Guide asked Burr shortly before his 1993 death to name a single regret, he answered, "It was accepting the role that made me famous, Perry Mason. It dominated my life. Perry took over and it became a burden." In 1993, Burr's close friend, actor Charles Macaulay, told Mary Murphy of TV Guide Raymond Burr really was Perry Mason. The two were one and the same. Maybe so, but Raymond Burr had other interests. He was an innovative breeder of orchids, an award-winning vintner, a respected Beverly Hills art dealer, and foster father to more than 20 children. Raymond Burr was an enigma, a film noir star, regularly known for his villainous roles in movies like Rear Window. He delighted millions of viewers each week with the top-rated shows Perry Mason and Ironside, which ran virtually uninterrupted for 20 years. But Burr was leading a secret life at a time in Hollywood when such a lifestyle was akin to career suicide. Burr had multiple ancestries, Irish, English, Scottish and German. Raymond William Stacey Burr was born in May 1917 in British Columbia, his parents' firstborn. Burr was the oldest of 3 children born to William Johnston Burr, a hardware dealer, and Minerva Smith, a pianist and music teacher, and daughter of a US naval officer. At 12 pounds he was a large baby and would struggle with obesity his entire life. often dieting on cottage cheese, fruit and cigarettes to maintain his weight as an adult. Burr spent most of his early life travelling. As a youngster, his father moved his family to China, where the elder Burr worked as a trade agent. When the family returned to Canada, Raymond's parents separated. This rupture is difficult for Ray, and he badly saw the departure of his father. Burr moved with his mother to Vallejo, California. His family was hit hard during the Great Depression, and at age 13 Burr quit the San Rafael Military Academy to find work on a cattle and sheep ranch. He returned to school a year later, but never completed junior high. As a young man, Burr dropped out of school and took odd jobs to support his mother and younger siblings during the Great Depression. He found work as a ranch hand, a deputy sheriff, and even a nightclub singer before beginning his acting career at the Pasadena Playhouse in 1937. In World War II, Burr served in the US Navy, serving in counterintelligence. He was wounded while aboard a ship struck by a Japanese kamikaze plane off the coast of Okinawa. He obtained serious burns and had to have 6 operations to remove shrapnel in his back and shoulder. He was shot in the stomach and sent home before spending months in a hospital in Australia. He was awarded the Purple Heart Medal for his action. He spent further visits to hospital on his return to the US. In 1946 he was given his official discharge from the Navy at the rank of Lieutenant Commander. His naval service was not widely known, and he himself did not elaborate on it. Raymond Burr became a member of the Civilian Conservation Corps for a year. He then started his acting career as a stage actor and did minor roles in theatre. Due to his bulky figure, usually villainous roles came his way, which he performed with great conviction. Raymond Burr's first Broadway appearance was in Crazy with the Heat. This play received only moderate success and did not do much to help Burr's career. However, his performance was praised. From there, Raymond Burr moved on to films. Some of his most popular films include Desperate, Sleep, My Love, Raw Deal, Pitfall, Abandoned, His Kind of Woman, and Crime of Passion. He appeared in more than 90 films, including Rear Window, A Place in the Sun, The Blue Gardenia, A Cry in the Night, and the Western audience release of the science fiction classic Godzilla, before landing the role of defense attorney Perry Mason for 271 episodes of the eponymously titled television series from 1957 to 1966. The landmark role won Burr Emmy Awards in both 1959 and 1961 for outstanding lead performance by an actor in a series. Though he had been married briefly in 1948, in 1960 Burr met his long-term partner Robert Benavides. 1 year after Perry Mason went off the air, Burr returned to television with the hugely popular television drama Ironside, which ran for 195 episodes from 1967 to 1975. Most of these roles featured him as a villain or a character of a much older age than he was in real life. His career highlight, however, was his role as Perry Mason, which he played for 9 seasons. Raymond Burr received several awards and nominations for his long career. He won 2 Emmy Awards for his role as Perry Mason. The series Ironside earned him 6 Emmy nominations and 2 Golden Globe nominations. In 1996, he was listed in the 50 Greatest TV Stars of All Time. He was also given a star on Canada's Walk of Fame. Raymond Burr appeared in over 60 movies between 1946 and 1957. It only took 6 days of filming to complete all of Raymond Burr's scenes in the American remake of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It was originally rumoured that Burr had spent a single day to complete all his scenes. However, the actor debunked the myth, saying that it took time to recreate all the sets from the original film. Later in his life, Burr stated that he had been married 3 times, a surprise to some of his close friends. His sister claimed that only the second marriage was official, prompting some to question the validity of the other unions. In 1939 he married Annette Sutherland. They had 1 child, a son. Sutherland died in June 1943, allegedly when her plane was shot down by the Germans. In 1946 Burr married Isabella Ward. The marriage lasted only a few months and was annulled in 1947. In 1950, Burr wed Laura Andrina Morgan. She died of cancer in 1955. In 1953, Burr's son died of leukemia. Burr then spent more than 30 years with his friend Robert Benavides. Any admission of homosexuality would have poisoned his career at any time before the 1980s. Times changed, but Burr kept his own counsel through to the end. But Burr and his partner, Robert Benavides, had a relationship for 35 years that was secret to most of the world, except for a handful of close friends. I only hope that I can regain my own identity once I decide that Perry Mason and myself have come to the parting of the road. Perry Mason has become a career for me. All I know is that I work, eat and sleep Perry Mason. It's a lucky thing I'm not married now. No woman would understand my work schedule. It's a good bet that had Raymond been married, his wife would have had a difficult time understanding his growing relationship with Robert Benavides, a young actor Raymond met on the set of Perry Mason. The handsome Benavides, 13 years Raymond's junior, had a small role in the 1957 sci-fi flick Monster That Challenged the World, billed as Bob Benavides, but was having trouble finding steady work. He and Raymond hit it off immediately, reportedly after Robert delivered a script to Raymond, and their attraction to each other grew. Before too long, Robert, a nice fellow and very cordial all the time, said Art Marks, was running errands for Raymond. Besides sharing the same initials, Robert and Raymond had somewhat similar backgrounds. Raymond and Robert were discreet in their relationship, and the Perry Mason cast was an extremely close and tight-knit group, ensuring that the relationship would stay insulated within the family, even if no one was exactly sure if Raymond and Robert were lovers. Even though Raymond's sexuality was known within the industry, the scandal magazines of the time, including Confidential, hadn't been sniffing around. They had bigger fish to fry, including Raymond's Horizon's West co-star Rock Hudson, who was one of their favourite targets. Raymond had been living a closeted life in Hollywood for over a decade, without even the whiff of anything untoward about his lifestyle. Part of that had to do with his status as a supporting actor in the shadows, out of the spotlight's direct glare. Leading man types, Cary Grant, Randolph Scott and Errol Flynn among them, were grist for the rumour mill, but Raymond had always flown under the radar. Remembering that the old-time Hollywood system made the studios all-powerful and the actors merely puppets. The hype and misleading information disseminated by the studio about Burr's childhood and acting past. Certainly Hollywood of the 40s and 50s was not a place where such choices were publicised, whether it was about homosexual relationships or extramarital ones. To understand the studio system as it was and the manipulation they practised would go far in showing how Burr and others of his time were forced into studio-mandated characterizations and associations, whether they were about fictitious marriages or dating experiences. The fact that Burr struggled with his weight is a common theme in and out of Hollywood, and many can relate to that effort. It isn't important to our understanding of Burr the man or Burr the actor, any more than knowing his sexuality defines him. Personality, talent, consideration for others, and a lifelong love are far more important things by which to remember Burr. Remember his TV roles in Perry Mason and Ironside, and his gangster movies with fondness and appreciation, and don't judge him by studio-enforced rules or personal choices in life. He'd deserve better. Collectively, Burr's two popular television vehicles made him one of the most enduring stars in the history of the medium. Raymond Burr was a very generous man. He would always donate large sums of money to charity. He also sponsored over 25 children in foster care. He worked for the United Service Organisation. Off-screen, he was a man of varied interests, from cultivating orchids to gourmet cooking, to owning an art gallery, to being a wine connoisseur. Eventually he even opened his own vineyard. Burr was also a well-known philanthropist, giving enormous amounts of his salary to various causes and organisations such as the USO. After a battle with liver cancer, Raymond Burr died at age 76, on September 12, 1993 in Geyserville, California. He left his $32 million estate solely to Benavides, his partner of 33 years. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Now it is your turn. What do you think about the life and legacy of Raymond Burr? Back in the 40s and 50s, studio systems controlled everything, even the actor's personal life. So it is not a coincidence that Raymond Burr and many others had to act and play an acceptable role in their off-screen lives.